Hey guys, it's Kevin. Last video I showed you how to fold the FFC cable for the ET-8550, and this video we're going to show you how to install it. If you need a cable, here's where you can find it. Go to BCH Technologies.com, go to printer parts, option, electronic board and assembly, and here are a whole bunch of FFC cables. On the left side, click FFC cable, and you can find the FFC cable for ET-8550. And here's Abby from the lab. This recording in the lab, and there will be some noises, okay?
Hey guys, it's Abby here. I'm going to be showing you how to put in the FFC cables into the ET-8550. I'm putting in the individual ends through this iron core clip, and this end will go to the main board. Then I fold over the FFC cables, stick them into the clips that go through the front of the printer. I also want to make sure that the two cables that I have labeled them left top, left bottom, and right top, right bottom. I want the longer one, so I want the left cable to be in front. So you see here I have that longer one in front, because that's the way it needs to fit into the printhead area. So I'll switch the view here, camera angle in a little bit, but the cables go through this plastic guide, so when the printhead goes back and forth, it doesn't get tangled up, the cables don't get tangled up. So I'll switch the view here in just a second so you can see where I'm feeding this through. You'll see here, I fed the small one through, and now I'm feeding the longer one, the left cable that I labeled through, and then I just stick it under that downward clip. But we also have this third FFC cable, the small, thinner one that goes to the CSIC board in the back of the carriage there. We never took that one out, so that one is going to be all the way on the back side of our cables. So I'm going to put in the long one first, and then I'm going to stick in the shorter one in between those two. So in between the short one, or in between the CSIC FFC cable and then the longer left FFC cable. So now they kind of hug each other and they fit all together. And then we'll just put them through the hole into the carriage. So I put that middle one, the short one, and then I'll put the long FFC cable, the left FFC cable, through there in front of it, because the long one needs to go in front of it to hold it down. Alright, and these now here I have the old FFC cables that were burned. In a previous video, the ones that I just put in, Kevin, in a previous video, he showed how to fold these. So I'm just using the old ones as a little bit of a guide to follow along with in putting the new ones back in. When I looked at another ET-8550, I saw that the long FFC cable uses double-sided tape to sit against the back of the carriage there. So that's where I'm trying to just create a bit of a fold, and I'll get some double-sided tape, and then I'll stick that on there.
Oh, by the way, if you need help on how to wire the mainboard or how to take off and install the mainboard, you can go to bchtechnologies.com and just search for ET-8550, and I have repair menus, and also I have how to wiring the mainboard on there.
Alright, so I stuck that double-sided tape on the back there, and then I'm going to use my dentist tool to pick at the sticker on top so I can get the other side of the sticky tape to put onto the FFC cable. Alright, and then I went back and grabbed my old FFC cables just to follow that pattern on how to fold my cables. If it's easier for you to remember that the blue stripes on top, then you can remember it that way, and that the silver pins are on the bottom. But if you forget, you can just label it again the way we did: left top, left bottom, right top, right bottom.
In the previous video, I showed you the LT, RT, that's right top, and the left top. That's what those letters means.
Then I'll just work on making these FFC cables sit in there nice and pretty. After that, we'll go ahead and work on getting the printhead in there.
The printhead for this model is really hard to find, and I'm going to make another video show you how to find the printhead and how to test it. And so just follow my channel.
Alright, so here is a test printhead that we have. I have it flipped over, and I'm going to go ahead and put in the two large FFC cables. I want the pins to be facing upwards, the silver pins to be facing upwards, and I'm going to stick this FFC cable behind there, and then this is the FFC cable that should be going against that double-sided tape. If you remember that we tried to put it in there, I guess I pulled it off a little bit, but this is how it should be fitted in behind there. So just wiggle it around a bit, figure out the best way for it to fit in there. But this is the gist of how it should sit in there. We just need to readjust our cables as we have moved it out and are putting a new one in. Alrighty, now that we have the printhead in place, we just need to screw it down so it is flush and flat and prints correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and get my screws and put them into the corners of my printhead, and I'll see you in the next little clip. So now I have the main board to this printer. I have to reach my hand in the back to move any cables, FFC cables that are in the back there, so I can push the main board in the back. And you'll see it fits in to wherever the ground wires connect on either side, the left and right side. But then we're going to go ahead and start connecting all of the wires and cables to this main board.
Again, if you need any help on learning how to wire this mainboard, I think I have a video, and I'm going to post the link to the page on the top right corner, so you can click and see the guide.
This part was a lot of just feeling around in the back. It's kind of hard to see, but when you understand where a lot of the cables and connections are supposed to go, it's not as hard as you think it will be. You just need to feel around with your fingers a lot. I sped it up just because it took me a little bit, but you will get it. I just want to let you know that it's not the easiest to see, but when you understand what the main board looks like and what size the connections are, you can understand where they're supposed to go, and if it doesn't fit in right away, just flip it around until it connects into the right spot. Okay, so we had worked on the back of the main board, now we're working on the front of the main board. These are the 5 individual strands of the FFC cables going to the main board. In another video, I had labeled them when I was taking them out. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Number 5 is all the way in the back, and labeling them forward, 1 being in the front. That way I knew which way to put them into the main board. They all go in order though. So again, just reminding people, labeling things can be really helpful when knowing how to put things back into place. So now we're working on the front of the main board, putting FFC cables back in and putting cables back into connectors.
And this is why the folding sequence is so important. So you want to do them in a sequence.
Once everything in the front of your main board is hooked back up, you'll still see that there's 2 FC spots open and 1 white cable spot open. You're wondering what that's for, and that's for the control panel of your printer, so the power on button. Go ahead and put in that white connection cable and the 2 FFC cables. It's going to control the control panel. It's connected to that Wi-Fi card. So put those into the main board and then we'll power it on and give it a test. So when we went ahead and powered it on, we saw that the printhead and the carriage would only go so far to the left side and then it would get stuck and return to the home position. So I tried it a couple times and I still kept getting the same error. One of the first errors we got was just a scanner error where I accidentally put in cable backwards, but then we were just seeing that the carriage and the printhead couldn't go any farther than where it was stopping and returning to the home position. So we looked at the encoder strip here, and you can see when I bend it down a little bit, it's really dark and coated in a dark ink. So my goal here is to go ahead and clean this encoder strip and see if that helps the printhead and the carriage be able to move back and forth. So on the far right side of the encoder strip, it is attached to a little metal hook by a spring, but then there's a little notch in the actual encoder strip that's a blank space for it to hook onto a notch. So I unhooked it from the actual notch and I'm trying to clean at this little spot right where it reads at the beginning. I'm trying to clean out the ink that's dried onto this encoder strip, and what I was using to clean was just a little bit of our red cleaning solution mixed with water in a spray bottle that I sprayed onto the napkin, and then I wiped it back and forth with my fingers onto the encoder strip. And the reason it was important to clean it is because the encoder strip has lots of little notches, and you can see there that little dried ink that got clogged up on it that I pulled off, and I even used my fingers here to pull off that dried ink. But the reason it's so important is just because the encoder strip has a bunch of tiny small notches that the sensor on the back of the carriage reads. The encoder strip goes to that sensor, and so it's supposed to be able to read it, but the notches are covered with ink, so it can't read the encoder strip, and so that's why it gets stuck and gets sent back to that home position. So not only was the ink covered just in that one spot, but it was covered all over, so that's why I needed to detach the encoder strip from the left side too and clean it. And you can see here against the back of my white napkin that black or blue ink, whatever dark colored ink that was, that's stained on there. Not really stained, but it's just dried on there to the point where I can clean it off. So that's what I needed to do, and that's what I ended up doing for the rest of this video. Is just going to go ahead and clean the encoder strip, and then I'll put it back on there, and then we'll run a test again.
Just remind you that we work on custom repair, and for custom repair you'll never know what problem is. There are lots of them coming with paper jam, and when you open it up and there's sparks coming out of the printer. For yours, you'll probably have a clean encoder, so you won't have this problem. We don't trust any parts in the printer, so we have to check. Wow, look at that.
I just wanted to be able to show you guys with the contrast of it against my hand, that dark ink, and how we can't leave it on there, otherwise won't be able to read. We're just trying to clean all that ink off until we get a completely clean encoder strip, and then we'll place it back on. Your encoder strip, there's a little triangle at the top of the left end of it, so you want that facing upwards as a little tip and trick. But then again, here's the clean encoder strip, and I'll put that back on, but then I'll also show you my napkin of all that dirty ink that we had on there.
Another thing is, if you have vertical stripes in your print, not horizontal stripes, verticals, you'll probably need to clean this encoder scale.
So we power this back on, and we get one small error, which is really easy to fix. You can see I'm holding this control panel because it's not screwed in anywhere, and the cable from the Wi-Fi card to the main board falls out. So that's the error that we get, which is just easy to fix. Plug it back in. But we can see that the printhead in the carriage goes back and forth. It can read the encoder strip. So we did it. We put the FFC cables back in and we cleaned the encoder strip. And happy printing, everyone.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Visit us at www.bchtechnologies.com or locally at Greensboro, North Carolina. Cheers.